Non-Americans who have been to the US, what is the weirdest thing about America that Americans don't realize is weird? I'm from the UK, and now live in MN. The first thing is how friendly everyone seems to be. It may be the Minnesota nice talking, but seriously, everyone is welcoming and friendly. The first time I flew to the States, I sat next to this American lady and we got talking. I explained I was visiting my partner for the first time and how nervous and excited I was. We talked until we boarded, and then once we landed, she went into mother mode, let me use her phone to call my partner, went through security and baggage claim with me, even walked me out to where my partner was waiting for me, just to make sure I was safe. She then gave me all her details and emphasized that if anything happens, or if I needed any help, I could call her and she'd help me. I found out she worked for St. Jude's, and even though I never needed to call her, knowing I had someone there made me feel so safe, and I really hope she's doing well today. The fact that looking at the news you'd think they're the angriest, most aggressive people in the world, but when you are there in person they are, with very few exceptions, very decent and welcoming. The gigantic open spaces everywhere. So much space. I lived in California for 3 years. I made more friends there in that time than I did living in my home country for over 3 decades. This is only from a tourist side. But I found it weird how friendly you are and how happy you all seem. This is not a complaint. I met a few lovely Americans when traveling through the eastern seaboard, and my cynic British side was struck by how open and excited you are to meet new people. The options when ordering food, I thought it was a TV joke. I feel naughty asking to swap chips for mash, but you guys can request pretty much anything. Hearing someone speak with an American accent IRL, my brain just associated it with movies and such. Coffee all the time. I got a tattoo in Barcelona and was completely embarrassed when I asked the artist if he wanted a coffee from next door. He told me, oh no, I have to keep working. He thought I wanted to go sit with him for a while. I went there for university, and honestly Americans just do a lot of little things that are generally nice. Holding the door open, smiling if you make eye contact while walking, randomly saying a quick greeting, etc. Random compliments too, and I never got the vibe that people were just making them up like some of my friends who haven't been. Say, if someone complimented someone's clothes / hair / whatever, it seemed like they meant it, they just didn't seem to hold back the random thoughts and said them out loud. I didn't even really notice the door holding thing after the first few days, but when I went back to my country I actually missed it, lol. Not that I ever expected someone to hold the door even in America, but the absence of it and quick smiles was surprisingly noticeable back home. As a Brit, how amazingly, and genuinely, friendly you are. How enamored you are with British culture and people. I was invited to a barbecue, in a public place, by someone that I met because he liked the t-shirt I was wearing. I felt like some sort of celebrity. I'm an average guy, but everyone wanted to chat to me. I've traveled extensively and have met many other nationalities, whilst in their country. I've been made to feel welcome in almost all, but how I was treated once my accent was heard in the US was on another level. Thank you for making me feel so welcome. I've had several amazing trips to US. They hold a very special place in my heart. Y'all can strike a conversation with a tree. You literally don't need anyone to respond and you'll yabber away relentlessly. It's a generalization, as I know there are some quiet Americans, but I was just down in a Publix trying to decide what beer to buy and some woman suddenly talking to me about how she met her husband. I love it. I'm a fairly quiet dude. New Zealand's a fairly reserved place, so just being able to stream your consciousness out like that is just something truly remarkable. I married an American. She talks enough for both of us. The tax isn't automatically added to the price shown in shops, restaurants, etc. If I only have $1 in my pocket, I'd like to see straight away what I can buy for that dollar, without trying to find out the tax rate and calculating it. Americans can strike up a sincere conversation and not be weird about it. No one precedes a question with sorry to be weird. They don't feel embarrassed if they don't know something. They can listen to you tell a story without jumping in to tell a vaguely similar story related to them. Americans tend to have tremendous social skills, though it's strange because some clearly don't appreciate how effing nuts they are. Radically different laws for each state? Like you could be illegal in one, then travel a few miles, then boom, you're safe? Trying to reconcile your lovely in-person dispositions with the fierce hatred and division portrayed in the media. Seems as though the bottom of the gene pool has somehow been chosen as brand ambassadors, which seems odd. Imagine Nike / etc. doing the same, instead of picking the best of the best as their ambassadors. I'm an American, but I'm always surprised that nobody in these threads mentions all of the self-storage we have here. There's storage units everywhere, and they're being built all the time. People have so much stuff that they can't fit it in their homes and rent out space for even more stuff. It's nuts to me. Lived in the US for 4 years, and here's some stuff that constantly threw me. Sales tax not being included in the price, got pretty used to it after 4 years, but it still occasionally caught me off guard. Healthcare bills. Tailgating on highway, even people complaining about tailgaters were themselves often tailgating. Porch sitting, people sitting on their porch and watching passers-by. Distances, drove coast to coast, I thought it would never end. Most men being pretty knowledgeable about cars. Drive-through ATMs, never stopped being funny to me for some reason. When the workers at food places take your card and walk away when you're playing. It's so weird and I hate it every time it happens, lol. How easy it is as an outsider to make friends. You guys are nice as hell. I moved here back at the start of the year. I've got my small group of friends back in NZ and thought I'd have trouble making new ones, but Americans have been some of the friendliest people I've met. Small talk to random people. When I am in Europe once in a while and start to talk to the cashier at the gas station or whatever, they think I am a crazy person. In the USA this normal. I prefer the US way. Indian with dark brown skin here. Went to Dallas, supposedly hub of white folks hating immigrants, and nowhere I was greeted with angry person, and I rarely saw people carrying guns. People were friendly and forthcoming, completely opposite of what news says. Somewhat weird thing I noticed was how confident majority of people I met were, especially in the situations where they were completely wrong. All minor things though. For example, it was around 2017 when I went there and tried to pay by tapping the card. This young lady was adamant that it wouldn't work without Google/Apple Pay and I have to insert my card in the slot. The look of surprise on her face was something to look st when I insisted and shown her it actually worked. But just like all the countries I've visited, news always display worst people when in reality people are generally fine. Quick edits because I can't reply all messages dash. First of all, I really don't want to offend anyone or say something I disliked, but rather something out of ordinary because of the expectations. I'm aware of concealed carry, but heard a lot about how people are pushing for open carry as well. So just by going by media, I assumed guns would be abundant and was pleasantly surprised. Card story was not to highlight technology gap, but rather one weird thing I found: how confident Americans are even when they shouldn't be. Again, off an outlier for my visit. I can totally understand gaps between city and rural areas. I was just recounting my experience. And finally, one of the greatest human moments of my life came in Dallas when I was in Lyft with this lady and her presumably 6 to 7-year-old kid who clearly had ADHD. I'm always afraid of children because I have this feeling I might accidentally hurt them, but this lady not only introduced her kid to me but encouraged we talk. Now it may not look very big to anyone else, this was the first time I was talking to someone with ADHD, that too a kid, and this kid was amazing with so much love when talking. So despite whatever others says, at Dallas will always hold special place in my heart.